and welcome to my class. Now, if you are an English learner, you are probably always looking for ways that you can improve your speaking fluency and how to maintain natural conversations with confidence. Now, as an English teacher, one of the top things that my students often struggle with is their fluency. Lots of people worry so much that they can't have a really fluent conversation, and it sometimes holds them back from achieving certain goals and dreams in their life. Maybe applying for a job, making friends in English, or even traveling. But you don't want those fears to hold you back. So let's get started and talk about the 5 things that you can start doing right now to improve your speaking fluency. Tip number 1 is to not worry about making mistakes. Remember, every mistake is a learning experience. This means that when you're learning absolutely anything, it's really important that you make mistakes because you learn from them. So if you worry too much about making mistakes, ultimately it's going to affect your confidence, which will affect your fluency, but also you'll be losing a real opportunity to learn. Now, I know that this is easier said than done. As a language learner myself, I know I worry about what people will think of me if I make a mistake. But remember, no one cares. Think about the last time you heard someone speaking your language and they maybe made some mistakes. Did you care? Did it stop you from having a conversation or even understanding the person? Absolutely not. So, tip number 1, make those mistakes. Number 2, practice every day. Now, again, my students often tell me that it's really difficult for them to practice speaking English because they have no one to practice with. Well, that shouldn't stop you. I'm going to give you an exercise that you can do every day by yourself, which will improve your fluency. So, at the end of the day, I want you to take your phone and either using the recording device, just recording your voice, or if you're brave enough, a video, and I want you to talk to your phone about everything that you did that day. Even if it's boring, even if you think no one cares, it doesn't matter, no one is going to hear this. This is like a video diary. So instead of writing down what happened every day or writing down your feelings, your thoughts, your hopes, your dreams, say it to your phone in English, of course. So this is really going to help you. If you do this every single day before you go to bed, I guarantee you will be speaking more fluently, having more fluent conversations when you are actually speaking to another person. Tip number 3 is to listen to music. Now, I know you might think, how on earth can listening to music help improve my speaking? Well, let me tell you, when you listen to music, it makes words, sentences, structures much more memorable. Just think back to a song that you used to listen to again and again and again as a child. I bet you can still remember the lyrics. Now imagine listening to music every day in English. When you are having then some conversations in your daily life in English, you'll find yourself saying words, saying phrases that just come to you so quickly because you heard them in a song. I promise this will really help. So music really does help us to learn, and not just learn new words, but also use them. There's a real connection between hearing something in music and then remembering it and being able to use it in conversation. So have a go at that. Listen to music in English. Tip number 4 is to find alternative ways to say things. Now, my students often tell me that a reason for not being very fluent is because they sometimes can't think of the word, or they can't think of the phrase, or they can't think of the right way to say something. Well, remember, when you're having a conversation, the main goal is to communicate your idea. It doesn't matter if you don't use the right word or you don't say it in the most natural way. All we want to focus on is communicating. So, next time you're speaking in English and you can't think of the word, just explain around the word. For example, oh, it's that thing where, or it's that place people go to, or it's the thing that you feel when this happens. So you can see there how having those little techniques to explain around a word that you don't know can help to keep the conversation going and maintain your flow. And tip number 5 is to try to learn language chunks. What do I mean by that? Well, instead of trying to learn and memorize individual words, try to learn them as chunks. For example, you can learn collocations. Collocations are words that often go together. You can learn, for instance, verbs that often have prepositions, such as depend on. Instead of learning just the verb depend, make sure you find out, is there a preposition that goes with this? And instead of learning that word in isolation, depend, you learn the whole chunk, depend on. Another example, if I were you, that's an example of a language chunk. And that's something that you can learn together and then use when you're having a conversation. So you can see how learning chunks of language can really help you when you are constructing sentences and trying to have a natural, fluent conversation. So there you go. 5 easy things that you can start doing right now that are guaranteed to improve your fluency. Remember, with practice comes fluency. With consistency comes confidence. So the key to being fluent is practice consistently. That's the end of the class. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any ideas for lesson topics that you would like me to cover, so any areas of English, whether it's a specific grammar area, tips to improve a certain skill like reading or writing, drop me a comment down below. I would love to hear from you. Until then, thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.